double chocolate bread pudding. Really, really decadent, I must admit. It starts off with croissants, which is just wrong because it's really supposed to be like day-old bread, you know, some day-old white bread, maybe even day-old wheat bread. You could do that, sweeten it up and, you know, what I like to say, dumb it down, make it fattening. And then, of course, I've got some raisin bread. I really just love raisin bread. One day I was thinking about making a bread pudding and I said to myself, why am I not using raisin bread? It's kind of already got ingredients in it that I like, the cinnamon, the raisin, so it makes sense. I'm gonna take the entire loaf and get my edges off and cut them down to about 1-inch squares, my croissants as well, and get them ready for my buttered dish. So right into my custard, I've got my 6 eggs, some cinnamon that's really good, nice and warm, of course, perfect for the bread pudding. I've already got it in my raisin bread, and it's swirled up in there, along with my croissants. Don't forget, this isn't just raisin bread pudding. Got some buttery croissants in there as well. Now I'm getting in some nutmeg. And then I want to add some flavor and love from some brown sugar, a little sweetness in my custard here. I fell in love with bread pudding in New Orleans at this place called Mother's there. They put fruit cocktail in their bread pudding. I cannot tell you enough about the goodness of that fruit cocktail in the bread pudding. And when I was putting together this recipe, I thought, I really like raisins. Why not put some raisin bread in there? It's really, really cool when you kind of have something sitting around and you work it into a recipe, and now it is there to stay. If you have not done bread pudding with raisin bread with a cinnamon swirl, get it done this holiday season. All right, so 6 cups of my whole milk going in. This is really, really bad dessert. So bad it's good. I'm gonna top it off with some bourbon whipped cream in a second. All right, now then adding to that, I'm gonna add some of my chocolate syrup. So this is gonna be the first part of the double chocolate. We're gonna add some chocolate chips in a second as well. And you might say, well, Sunny, why not chocolate milk? You know, when you drink chocolate milk, it's got that really kind of thick texture to it. I think they put stabilizers or something in there just to make sure that, you know, all the chocolate stays at the top and doesn't settle down at the bottom. There's just something about the texture I don't really love. So a little bit of chocolate syrup goes a long way in our whole milk here. Now, of course, I've got some sweet, so I've got to add a little bit of salt. This is a lot of custard, so a little bit of salt times 2. Whisk it right in. And this is my custard. The eggs are gonna make it nice and kind of binding. It's gonna hold everything together. And then everything else in here is just gonna provide more flavor for our bread pudding. Now this is the double chocolate right here, some semi-sweet morsels, but if you're doing a pantry clean out and you've got some milk chocolate or some bittersweet, throw that in there, no big deal. What I like to do is kind of sprinkle them over the top. About a cup or so. And then, you know, give like a little bit of a move around and a jiggle. I just don't like them settling on the bottom too much, all right? Now, over the top, my big old dish here, that's buttered. Don't forget to butter it. Pouring on this custard. Now, the key here, a little bit left in the bottom, is not putting it in the oven right away. All right, what you wanna do is just kind of press it down and let the bread soak into the custard. Push it down. Oh, this looks so good. All right, onto my back counter. For about 10 minutes or so, I'm gonna let that hang out so it can soak into the bread, all the custard. Now look at this, speaking of moist, this is my raisin bread with the cinnamon swirl. Oh, it's gonna feed a lot, but trust me, there will not be any left the day after. All right, so that's gonna get nice and golden brown, 350 degrees. It's gonna take about 45 to 50 minutes or so. And I'm just getting my whipped cream. It's already sweetened, ready for my double chocolate bread pudding. Now, it's a little bit soft peaks. Good time to add in a little bit of bourbon. Why not? Reminds me of my days in New Orleans, standing in line, waiting on my bread pudding at Mother's. They'd finish it off with a bourbon butter sauce, so good. So I say, why not put it into your whipped cream? I'm gonna get my bread pudding out now, talking about it so much. Now it's double chocolate because I started with a chocolate custard. Just some whole milk, some chocolate syrup, the eggs to hold it together, some brown sugar, and a little bit of salt. And then, of course, I put the chocolate chips in there. Now the double chocolate bread pudding. You know what? I really do have to say, That bread pudding I had at Mother's has really been responsible for a lot of the things that I do in my bread pudding today. Just like they put a little bit of fruit cocktail in theirs, I say a little bit of raisin from my raisin bread does the trick. I'm gonna go in and get this in my belly. Wow. First of all, the bourbon and the whipped cream, gotta try it. The buttery from the croissant, the chocolate upon chocolate upon chocolate.